Cody Sampson here from Polaris, up here on the mountain outside of Afton, Wyoming. Standing here with a model year 22 Matryx Slash platform and an RMK Chaos. Some of the exciting stuff that you can see on this sled: we have a new formed one-piece tunnel with a tapered close-off and bumper. Combining that with a new centralized mass cooling system that is all from the fuel tank forward. So you get a very small, very light cooling system that ends up very centralized on the sled. So it lowers the mass at the rear of the sled. The other really cool thing about that is it stops the back of the sled from building up any snow and ice, because you don't have that coolant back there heating up the snow, melting it, and turning it into ice. So you end up throughout the ride day with a much lighter sled overall, because you're not carrying around any snow and ice, and you have a more centralized mass on the vehicle overall. If we move back, you can see that we have a close off that's tapered up with a rear bumper that's also tapered, and just a rear fender instead of a snow flap. And all of that is pulled forward to just eliminate the drag. What that does is it lets the sled always reach down to where there's traction. It also lets it get moving forward quicker. So we talk a lot about instantaneous lift, and when you eliminate drag, it lets the sled leap forward without anything dragging or hanging down, along with the weight reduction in the back that stops it from sinking down into the snow. So just combining all those things to make the sled perform better and better as we continue to develop mountain sleds.
What is that tunnel doing compared to the Axis RMK tunnel?
Yeah, if you think about what's happening as the track is searching for traction on those bottomless powder days, the tunnel, and even from the suspension pads back, the tunnel starts to act a little bit like a brake. You know, it's dragging through the snow. It's wider than the track, so it starts to give you drag or resistance to the snow. The way the Matryx Slash is designed, it lets the track continue to look for traction as it digs down in that bottomless powder, and you don't get any drag, or you get very little drag, because of the taper and the way it's inside the trench of the track. Looking up in the tunnel of the Matryx Slash platform, you can see up about where the fuel tank ends is how far the cooler comes back. So that wraps around the front of the close off and then comes back to about the midpoint of the tunnel. And that really works to keep the mass centralized in the vehicle overall. And it also keeps the snow and ice from building in the back half of the tunnel. So weight reduction with no snow and ice throughout your day of riding, and then centralized mass for overall better vehicle dynamics. As we move forward, you can see brand new seat and tank, so lowered seat height, and the seat is pulled forward. It's not a lot shorter, but it's pulled forward, so when you're sitting up near the console, you still have seat you can sit on. The fuel tank and fuel cap have been moved forward also, so you end up with a lot of seating area, but it's shorter, quite a bit shorter in the back, so you have room to sling your leg over, along with a tank that's much narrower. So through the profile of where your body interfaces with the seat and tank, it's substantially narrower through the whole section from the console all the way to the back of the tank. That lets you move around on the sled with less effort and gets the sled to react quicker with less needed work going into the maneuver that you're trying to do. Another new innovation, we have a cast footrest. So all of this is cast aluminum, and then the tow hook on the footrest actually has 3 positions. So you're able to move the tow hook from the standard position to 2 positions above that. Right now this one's set in the mid position, which is a little higher than where the tow hook would be on an Axis RMK. The fenders are just pulled in and as narrow as possible to make any drag in the snow when you're side hilling. Just take all of that away. We've changed the running board and opened up the area where you can clear snow out, so you can see it's very open right at the toe. So here we're looking at the Matryx RMK, and we're looking at the bodywork on it now. So you can see the side panel on the Matryx RMK is different than it is on our Trail Performance Matryx sleds. What we call the foil on it is pulled in really tight to the bodywork to eliminate any drag in the snow. If you're in a steep side hill or a downhill side hill, this will never drag in the snow. Looking at the bodywork on it, and then the air intakes. So you can see we have an air intake that is on both sides of the chassis, so giving you lots of intake area. Very easy to reach up and clean off with a frog skin cover over it to make sure that you're not ingesting any snow on it. and we have a toolless removable windshield. So we just have what we call the deflector on here right now, which is likely how most mountain riders will want their sled configured. But this just pops right off, and then you can add a windshield to it and pop it back on if you're going out on a cold day and you want a little bit more protection. Another really cool feature of the Matryx platform is the built-in storage. So you end up with a big storage compartment up in the front of the sled where you can reach it without getting off your sled. You'll be able to store goggles and gloves. You can feel in there, it's nice and warm in there right now. So it stays generally pretty warm, and it's that we're excited to bring for model year 22 is a magnetic tether. So it's a mechanical interface, super easy to put off and on, nice robust attachment and magnetic actuation. So snow buildup won't affect the actuation of the tether. So across all Matryx RMKs for model year 22.